This week's story is called Joshua. God had promised Abraham's family a land for them to live in. He rescued them from being slaves in Egypt and led them safely across the desert. The Israelites were now ready to go into the land God had promised them. But some of the people were afraid. They had heard that the land was full of giants, people who looked big and strong. But Joshua trusted God. Joshua became the leader of God's people. But in front of them was an enormous river. God told Joshua what to do. The leaders stepped into the river, and as soon as they did, the river stopped flowing. God's people walked safely across on dry ground. Joshua led the people into the land. The land was full of cities on high walls. One city was called Jericho. Jericho had a big wall all around it. God told Joshua what to do. Joshua told the people to march. So the next day, they marched around Jericho once. The next day, they marched around Jericho again. The third day, they marched around Jericho again. The fourth day, they marched around Jericho again. The fifth day, they marched around Jericho again. The sixth day, they marched around Jericho again. The seventh day, they marched around Jericho 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. The people blew their trumpets. They all shouted, "Victory!" Suddenly, a loud rumbling sound was heard. The ground began to shake, and the walls of Jericho came tumbling down. God had brought the walls down. Giant people, an enormous river, and a big wall did not stop God. God gave his people a land to live in, just like he'd promised. When God makes a promise, you know that God will keep his promise. God promises that if you trust in Jesus, he will save you. So if you trust in Jesus, you can be absolutely sure that you will be saved.